Okay, let's begin with Chapter 2, The Two Ecologies. Understanding the architecture beneath your mind. Quote, two worlds exist in parallel. Neither is incomplete, yet each is blind to the other. Reading density. Light dessert. Easy to digest / quick read. An example is lemon sorbet. Why it works. It's refreshing, tangy, and light. A single scoop is enjoyable without overwhelming the palate. It leaves energy and curiosity intact. The reading implication for this chapter is that it is conceptually light. You can move through it quickly, absorb most of it in one sitting, and feel ready for the next section. Perfect for reinforcement, reflection, or preparatory material. A pictogram and 75 words. Have you ever seen those little challenges where a set of pictures forms a code? I don't know the proper name for them, but you know the kind. They're supposed to be simple, obvious. Everyone else seems to get them instantly. I remember the first one I ever saw. It was projected on a big screen in an auditorium full of kids. 3 images, an eye, drawn simply and almond-shaped, a set of waves, and a sheep. It was a contest. Figure it out the fastest, raise your hand, win. I was absolutely certain I was going to win. I remember every step my mind took. The eye looked like a glyph, almost hieroglyphic, that suggested Egypt. The waves could be the Nile or the Mediterranean. Egypt touched both. The sheep, who were some famous shepherds? King David? Biblical symbolism? Maybe the presenter mattered. Maybe their background would give context. Time ran out. I had narrowed it to 2 possibilities. Something about King David or a future military strike in the Mediterranean. The answer was, I see you. I see you. You could have given me 1,000,000,000 years. I never would have gotten it. That wasn't the last time I failed at something that was supposed to be simple. In 4th grade, our whole class got in trouble. As punishment, the teacher said, I want each of you to write 75 words. Everyone else immediately knew what that meant. I didn't. So I wrote 75 words. Every word I could think of. When I started running out, I leaned into what I knew. Scientific names for animals, Spanish words, soft words like love and hope. I remember worrying she'd laugh at me for using girly words. I remember the dread as she walked the aisles. Then she stopped at my desk. She sighed. She took the paper from my hands and began reading it out loud. The class laughed. I thought it was because of the words I chose. It wasn't. It was because of the words I didn't choose. What she meant was to write, I am sorry, 25 times. That's 75 words. Everyone else already knew that. From experience, from pattern, from an implicit rule I had never been given. Instead of looking soft, I looked defiant. Like I'd followed the instruction technically, but definitely took my stand against the ruling class. She was furious. I was sent to the principal's office, genuinely confused about what I had done wrong. My mother, who worked at the school, intervened. She explained that it wasn't a stunt. The teacher was skeptical, but over time it became clear. Nothing was broken. Nothing was malicious. Nothing was slow. It was different. That's the part people kept promising would change. You'll understand when you're older. But I didn't. In fact, it became more confusing because what I did understand told me something important. There was nothing wrong with me. I was a straight-A student. Teachers loved me. Coaches loved me. I was skipped a grade because I was bored. The work was too easy. I entertained myself by seeing how fast I could finish tests. Everything functioned. And yet, again and again, I missed what everyone else assumed was obvious. Some of you know this feeling. Sometimes the answer is sitting right on the surface and you look straight through it for what lies beneath. Other readers, at other times, you're given principles, parameters, and form, but no instructions, no target, no clear outcome, and it feels exactly the same. The mistake is thinking that one of these orientations is broken. They're not. They're different ways of contacting reality. This chapter is a map, not a rule book. It does not attempt to describe every human exhaustively, nor does it ask you to adopt a rigid binary. The language of two ecologies names patterns that reliably appear in cognition, patterns that become gentler, clearer, and more navigable once they are visible. You are invited to read with curiosity rather than compliance. Nothing here requires agreement to be useful. If a description resonates, let it settle. If it does not, set it aside. The purpose is not constraint, it is orientation. Why begin with ecologies? Before exploring growth, healing, or communication, we must answer a foundational question. What kind of system is a human mind? Most approaches begin with traits, preferences, or labels, asking what a person is like. This book begins one level deeper by asking how your mind orients to reality. That orientation matters because perception always precedes behavior. When two people experience the same situation through different ecologies, they notice different details, assign meaning to different signals, and feel pulled toward different responses. From the outside, this may look like disagreement or dysfunction. From the inside, it may feel like confusion or failure. From an ecological perspective, it is neither. Ecologies are not personalities. An ecology is not a personality type, a score, or a list of traits. It is a perception-action architecture. It describes how your mind recognizes what matters, how it predicts what comes next, how it stabilizes under uncertainty, and how it moves from perception into action. When this architecture is understood, patterns that once felt random begin to line up. You may recognize why certain environments exhaust you while others feel clarifying, why particular conflicts repeat, or why some demands feel natural while others feel impossible. Most importantly, your ecology is coherent in itself, but not complete alone. Humans are dual system organisms, built for partnership across differences rather than uniformity. The Anchor First Ecology, AFE, Axis and Shell, the hands and feet of the world. For Anchor First cognition, the world becomes reliable through locally stable reference points. Understanding occurs by establishing, testing, and revising anchors that stabilize action. Clarity emerges from knowing where you can stand, what is actionable, and how things hold together. The world feels trustworthy when it is navigable. A useful functional metaphor is hands and feet, moving reality forward through action. This includes doing, building, arranging, executing, and completing. Creativity in this ecology crystallizes into forms that support coordinated action. Plans, designs, systems, and procedures. These are not limits. They are the natural expression of intelligence. Within this ecology, the axis provides orientation and the shell provides protection. Anchor First cognition stabilizes environments so life can proceed without constant threat or chaos, making the world reliable enough for others to explore. When AFE is misperceived, because Anchor First cognition prioritizes stable reference points, it is often misread. Precision is labeled rigidity. Reliability becomes inflexibility. Emotional containment is mistaken for coldness. This misperception follows a predictable chain. Anchor First systems express care through establishing and maintaining actionable ground. Observers expect care to look like emotional display. The signal is misread, and judgment replaces understanding. What is missed is function. This ecology is not rigid, it is stabilizing. It is not unemotional. It processes emotion through action. It is not controlling. It preserves system coherence. Anchor First cognition is designed to make the world safe enough for everyone else to function. The Perception First Ecology, Core and Field, the heart and mind of the world. For Perception First cognition, meaning becomes real through resonance. Understanding occurs by sensing patterns, tracking significance, and noticing emergence before it is fully formed. Creativity here detects nuance, context, and relational shifts. A fitting functional metaphor is heart and mind, moving reality forward through perception. This includes insight, connection, intuition, empathy, interpretation, and synthesis. Within this ecology, the core anchors purpose and the field perceives context. Perception First cognition answers not only what works, but what matters. When PFE is misperceived. Because Perception First cognition prioritizes meaning, it is often misread. Sensitivity is labeled fragility. Adaptability becomes chaos. Emotional intelligence is mistaken for instability. Here, too, the causal chain is consistent. Perception First systems respond to subtle signals. Observers prioritize actionable reference points. Responses seem disproportionate. Judgment replaces understanding. What is missed is timing. This ecology is not sensitive, it is perceptive. It is not chaotic, it is adaptive. It is not impractical, it anticipates relevance. Perception-first cognition is designed to give the world direction, coherence, and relational insight. Two ecologies, one human system. These ecologies are not competing personalities. They are complementary cognitive environments. Anchor-first cognition, hands and feet, makes the world predictable, stable, and navigable. Perception-first cognition, heart and mind, makes the world meaningful, relational, and coherent. One builds the shelter, the other senses the storm. One protects the perimeter, the other watches the horizon. Neither was designed to operate alone, and neither was designed to imitate the other. However, interestingly, modern culture often demands imitation. Anchor-first systems are pressured to be more emotional. Perception-first systems are pressured to be more organized. When this happens, both ecologies are pulled away from their strengths, producing identity confusion, shame, and relational breakdown. Not because something is wrong, but because something essential is misread. When each ecology is understood on its own terms, the inner war dissolves. Difference becomes design. Hands, feet, and heart and mind. A functional map. Hands and feet, anchor-first cognition, solve problems by stabilizing actionable ground. They express meaning through oriented action and restore through completion and order. Heart and mind, perception-first cognition, solve problems by sensing coherence, express meaning through understanding, and restore through connection and insight. These metaphors illustrate how decisions are made, how systems recover, how overwhelm occurs, how misreading happens, and how integration becomes possible. From their interaction, a third ecology emerges, not a hybrid, but a unified field where perception and action cooperate without dominance. Most suffering arises from system saturation, not defect. When overwhelmed, anchor-first systems tend to withdraw, oversimplify, become rigid, or shut down emotionally. Perception-first systems may flood, spiral, lose decisiveness, or collapse inward. Recognizing overwhelm as a predictable ecological response loosens self-judgment. The question shifts from "what's wrong with me" to "what is my system responding to?" This shift restores dignity. Stories you already know. You've seen these patterns before. The anchor-first adult frustrated by chaos, asking, "Why can't I just start?" The perception-first child dismissed with, "You're overreacting." Partnerships strained by the questions, "Why does everything turn into feelings?" and "Why can't you see what this means?" These are design signals, not evidence of failure. This chapter does not give identity. It gives language. Language that locates you without trapping you, explains without reducing you, and allows difference without hierarchy. Ecological recognition often arrives quietly, as relief. You now walk with an ecology, a coherent map for your mind, and a foundation for the integration ahead. This is not the end of understanding. It is the beginning of orientation. That is the end of Chapter 2. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next episode.